Meg F10 on YouTube says, I will be traveling in New Zealand in December. Do you have any recommendation on clothes to pack? All right, Laura, December in New Zealand, what season it is? What's going on in New Zealand in December?
So December in New Zealand, because we're in the southern hemisphere, is summer, and it is the first month of summer. And yeah, that usually means that when the sun is shining, it is pretty warm. So you are going to want to pack some summer clothes, but this is also New Zealand, so the weather does change a lot, so you do need to be sort of prepared for any type of weather scenario. So yeah, we'll go through all the different types of clothing that you should be packing for summer in New Zealand, basically. Starting with, what should we start with?
Well, let's start with like the worst case scenario. You always need to have a rain jacket in New Zealand because we're on an island, and if you look at a map of New Zealand, it's pretty narrow, right? And so that means that the weather passes very, very easily between the Tasman Sea and the Pacific Ocean. So rain happens frequently in New Zealand. It's pretty famous for that. That's why New Zealand is so green and so beautiful. And for this reason, you absolutely need a rain jacket.
Yeah.
Now, you don't want too big of a rain jacket.
Yeah, so obviously you just want a light rain jacket being summer in New Zealand, and it's usually not too cold around December. So usually whatever you're wearing underneath your rain jacket or having some extra layers to wear underneath is a good way, just in case it does get a little bit chilly. But the rain jacket's usually really good for obviously keeping yourself dry when you're out and about, but also good as a windbreaker if you're doing any hikes, for instance, on exposed sort of hills or mountains. For instance, if you're doing the Tongariro crossing, which is one of the most popular walks to do in New Zealand, that, for instance, is also very good to have a rain jacket just in case you get a windy day and it takes the edge off the chill with your rain jacket. That also leads us on to something else to pack, which is hiking shoes or hiking boots. What most people do when they come to... Are you wanting to say something?
Yeah, no, but that's okay. You keep going. I like it.
Okay. I didn't know if we had to talk 5 hours about rain jackets.
We had a different format for that, but that's okay. Let's keep going with that.
Okay. Yeah. I could just see the killer look in your eye.
I was just listening.
All right, so yeah, obviously because in New Zealand you are going to be doing a lot of, most people do like to do a lot of walks in New Zealand, and I assume that's going to be the same for you. You do want to have a sturdy pair of walking shoes or hiking boots. Usually this is really much a preference on what you usually like to wear. Hiking boots tends to be more for people that want to do multi-day hikes, and they have sort of heavy backpacks to carry, and the extra ankle support is always good, but most of the time you just need sort of hiking shoes that are a bit, not the high top boots.
I tend to disagree with that. I always have the high boots because I'm always jumping around and everything. So that's where Laura and I have very different view on what we pack. Same thing that backpack and suitcase. Laura likes the suitcase, I like the backpack. For the hiking boot, she likes the low, normal basically shoes, style hiking shoes, and I like the higher one that covers your ankle, just because I like to kind of jump around, roam around and everything, and I will break my ankle every 2 days if I didn't have a good pair of hiking boots.
Yeah, so like I say, it is really down to personal preference, but there's two types of hiking boots or shoe. Well, there's hiking boots or hiking shoes, so obviously whichever one you prefer, that's definitely a must to pack into your suitcase for New Zealand. But another feature of your hiking shoes that you definitely need is to make sure that they're waterproof, because like we said before, it does rain at any time of the year in New Zealand, and hiking with wet feet isn't that fun. So make sure that you do get waterproof hiking shoes, either with that sort of Gore-Tex or waterproof membrane inside.
There's so many different names for this thing. And even if it's not raining, let's not think just always worst case scenario. There are some hikes when you have to cross a little stream. It's usually really shallow, but that can definitely get your feet really, really wet. All right, cool. So for the rest of the clothing, what we're going to do, we're going to go through a few different sections. And the first thing that you need to consider is that you're going to be doing a lot of travel, coming all the way from where Meg is from California, for example, It's a long flight, so you want to be comfortable. So let's talk about clothing that you want to have to actually be really comfortable in a plane. Just because this definitely just wearing jeans and hiking boots and everything is not necessarily the best and best way to kind of be comfortable. You want something like nice, comfy, like sweater and leggings. Now, when you are thinking about maybe traveling with your leggings, it's super comfortable and it's it's gonna be the perfect thing to travel with. But you also maybe want to think about picking a legging that you're going to be able to use again and not just for your travel. So maybe pick some leggings that you can use for hiking.
Yeah, so also you can couple some comfortable, we say leggings or maybe even hiking pants or something. They're usually very comfortable for a flight, but also good and a versatile piece of clothing to use for hiking as well. Again, you want to, especially you don't want to do hiking in jeans. If they do get wet or anything like that, or you sweat into them, it takes ages for them to dry. So you definitely don't want to have like jeans for hiking or even for that flight over to New Zealand. Having something that dries quickly is super important. That's also comfortable for walking and basically for sitting on your ass for the whole flight. And
speaking of that, actually, it's a great transition. You also want obviously to have a top which is going to keep you warm but not too warm and still going to be comfortable. So Laura is actually wearing merino wool. I'm wearing merino wool. We swear by merino wool. It's super comfortable. If it gets wet, wool actually doesn't get too cold. Like if you do have cotton, like my t-shirt right now, if it was to get wet, I'll be really freezing really quickly. But if it's a little bit wet and it's wool, it will actually kind of stay kind of warm and keep your body temperature. So that's the great thing about merino wool. So we always recommend to have layers. So literally what I'm wearing right now, minus the pants, you want something more comfortable, but that's perfect for both traveling, flying to New Zealand, also taking all the kind of bus or doing all the driving around New Zealand, as well as doing some hiking around. So those pieces of clothing are super comfortable. So right now we want a rain jacket, we want a pair of really sturdy hiking boots, we want some comfortable hiking pants, we want some merino wool layers for the top to be able to both hike and travel comfortably. Now, if you're actually traveling in summer, which you are in December, you may not want to be wearing pants at all time, despite the fact I personally choose to wear pants most of the time because of the sandflies and because my hiking pants are super light. I have some of those, I have a pair of Columbia and Marmot hiking pants, and those pants are, they're made of fabric which is super light, so it's perfect for summer. So it keeps me protected from the sun, which is really strong in New Zealand, as well as from all the sandflies. So I find it perfect. But you may want a pair of shorts. So think about shorts as well. Anything else to add on that?
That's pretty much it. I just also obviously have a few pairs of t-shirts as well for when if you are getting quite warm and stuff, you obviously will want to like strip off a bit of clothes and stuff like that. But like Robin says, the sun in New Zealand is very strong, so you will also either make sure you pack lots of sunscreen to make sure that if you do have your skin exposed, so that you can lather up in sunscreen, or make sure that you have some clothes that are light but do cover up like your arms and around your neck and stuff like that, if you don't want to wear sunscreen all the time.
So speaking of clothes that are light, the thing that we kind of say in most of our videos, and you probably see that, Meg, you were mentioning that you are making a playlist of videos of us to watch. We recommend so many times to do layering, meaning that we never kind of have a really thick jumper. That's not what we buy. So I wouldn't buy anything thicker than this jumper right here. I wouldn't buy like a really, really thick, super epic like snow jacket, for example. We buy a lot of like thin layers like that, and we put them on top of each other. Because the New Zealand weather is changing up so much, it's so changing. You want to be able to adapt to it. So, having clothing like that, like let's say a merino wool t-shirt, then a merino wool jumper, and then a windbreaker kind of jacket, that allows me to literally be able to weather 90% of the weather that you will be able to get in New Zealand. And because they may all happen in the same day, it is so perfect. So think about any kind of thermal under layers. That'd be really, really cool to have as well. And again, think about which material you want them in. The good thing with merino wool layers is that they don't retain the heat. I mean, they don't heat you up too much in summer as well. So they kind of like they're your aircon system you carry with you. They're not too hot in summer, and they're really hot in winter, so it's just perfect.
Yeah.
So layering.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of going on a walk and having to adapt to the weather, once you decide to take a some layer, you have to put them in a day pack.
Yes, so definitely have yourself like a little. I would recommend having sort of like a small backpack to take with you on hikes, but also when you're just out exploring as well, you're obviously going to want to make sure that you have something that you're going to like be carrying quite a few things around when you're out on day trips. You might want to take some water around with you, some sunscreen, maybe your sunglasses, and also because like Robin says, with your taking your layers off and things, you want to actually put them somewhere. So having a day pack is always it's pretty essential. And backpacks are always the more comfortable ways to go, because just basically in New Zealand, the way that you travel is more, you're doing a lot of walking and hiking, and you're a lot more active. It's not like you're in a city where you have like a fashionable bag on the side, and which is kind of like it's a little bit impractical. So yeah, the way that you sort of travel in New Zealand is more thinking about what's practical and what's going to be comfortable, and that's what most people do, and it's the most comfortable way of going about it.
And speaking of practical and comfortable, let's talk about underwear. You obviously want to have a bunch of underwear, so usually we recommend to have enough kind of clothing, so underwear, t-shirts, socks, and all of that for about like 8 days, which will allow you to have enough until you are able to find a laundry either in your hotel, in your hostel, in your holiday park. There is laundries where you will be able to do laundries. So for underwear, go for things which are pretty flexible. For guys, I personally wear a lot of merino wool kind of underwear. Laura, she has those bras where you can make them strapless and or with strap and everything like that. So it goes with every kind of tops and everything like that. And she has like what the colors that you like, the skin colors, so they're never seen anywhere. So you kind of go with like the pieces which are going to be the easiest.
Just sort of like the most versatile things. Just the easiest things to go with.
Speaking of having clothes to underwear, we also have swimwear. So for swimwear, we recommend having a pair of swimwear, not just one, just because there is a lot to do in the water in New Zealand. And if you go in the salt water and then you don't have necessarily time to wash it in between, it starts stinking pretty bad.
Yeah.
So you may want to have a couple of togs, which is the men's swimwear New Zealand version. So
togs is the word in New Zealand basically for swimwear. So when you're on a tour and the tour guides say like, oh, did you bring your togs, or or if you're booking your tour and they're saying like, oh, make sure you bring a pair of togs. Togs is basically swimwear. So
Here you go.
And there's loads of reasons that you'll need to wear swimwear in New Zealand, between doing like whitewater rafting, the caving tours, going to hot pools, going to the beach. So definitely swimwear is an absolute essential.
And the best accessory for swimwear is
travel towels.
I mean, it is obviously. But I was thinking about the genders, studs and genders.
Okay.
Two Kiwi words.
Okay.
Damn.
Sorry, I didn't follow your flow there. But
all right. So travel towels first. Definitely you want to have a travel towel with you. Microfiber, doesn't smell, dries super fast, and take almost no space. We swear by our travel towels, on microfiber. You can find them on Amazon. They're really awesome. We do have some articles on BackpackerGuide.NZ that we are following while talking about that. And we link to some of the one that we are using. So Meg, head to BackpackerGuide.NZ and type clothes. And when you type clothes on the search bar, you're probably going to find the article that we're following right now. All right, cool. But jandals, what is jandals? Why does it go so well with swimwear? Laura, tell me about jandals.
Jandals is the New Zealand word for flip-flops, or thongs, as some people call them in other countries. Basically those sort of, or sandals. But the reason to take flip-flops or jandals, for one reason, is they're pretty good to take into the showers if you're staying in hostels or holiday parks and you don't want to put your bare feet onto showers that many people have been in. If you're a little bit like eek about that, then jandals are always a good thing to do.
If you're a little bit what?
Eek. But also they're just always like a comfortable thing to keep on wearing if you're just sort of like need something quick to slip on. If you're staying in staying somewhere, you need to pop down to get some supplies from a convenience store, or you need to, if you're just going to the beach, for example, they're always the best thing to wear on the beach. And yeah, especially in summer, you might just want to sort of let your feet sort of get some air, breathe for a bit. So if you're doing something, if you're not actually out and about hiking everywhere, you just need something comfortable to wear and something quick and easy to put on then. And also they take very little space in your suitcase or backpack, then jandals or flip-flops are the way to go.
Here you go. Now you go to the beach and you meet some boys, and then you're going to go out. So you need obviously one outfit. You really don't need much to go out with. So something where you can go to the bar. We don't have like massive nightclubs in New Zealand and everything like that, but you won't have one outfit to go out. For the guys, you may want to have one shirt. Doesn't have to be the most fancy shirt, but just maybe one shirt. And
you'll find that like in bars and restaurants and stuff, like there's really not really a big scene of people wearing formal clothing in New Zealand. Everything is very casual, so you don't need to worry about like barely anyone wears high heels in New Zealand. So like I know that back in Europe and stuff, maybe in the US as well, like people are wearing high heels and things. That's just not a thing in New Zealand.
Yeah, just have some wedges and you're fine. Wedges, the shoes, not the food.
Wedges are heels as well, though, aren't they?
No, wedges, they're really like flat heels.
English heels. Oh yeah, basically just go, just take things casually. You don't have to be like, you don't need to dress up, basically.
Yeah. And finally, you want something to sleep in. So yeah, have a PJ because you may be staying in shared accommodation, so you don't necessarily want to be sleeping in your 90 tighties.
But I mean, if you are staying in private accommodation, wear whatever you like.
Yeah, of course. I mean, sleep naked. Go ahead. But yeah, if you do happen to stay in private accommodation or something like that, wear PJ. It's always nicer.
Or shared accommodation.
So we shared accommodation. Wear PJ, so have like something comfortable to sleep in. But so that's basically all the clothes. Anything else you would think of? For socks, if we can give you a recommendation, Meg, go for merino wool again.
Or just any type of wool, I think.
Because like that you don't have cold and wet feet. So that's always quite handy. We for extra accessories, obviously, we like to have hats and buffs, just because the sun is really strong in New Zealand. So I have a hat or buff, something to kind of protect yourself from the sun. And I think that's pretty much it. All the clothes you need to pack for summer, and especially December in New Zealand. Actually, it's December. You may want to pack yourself a Santa hat as well, just because that's what you wear in December, right? That's the fashion accessory. But yeah, if you do have extra questions, make sure to put them in the comments of this video. We're here to help every single week. And if you do find that useful, like and subscribe.